Today I'm really honored to have Sri Lankan-born Mathilda Karlsson, who is the first to be qualified for the Tokyo Olympics 2020 Games, and also to be the first equestrian representing Sri Lanka. And it's a great and proud moment for us. Many in Sri Lanka may not know much about the equestrian sport and more about Mathilda. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk to her a little bit about her life, her personal and professional life, and get to know her a bit better for the Sri Lankan audience. So, good morning, Mathilda.
Good morning.
A warm welcome to the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Germany.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and really it is a great honor to have you here and to meet the first qualified first qualifier for the Olympics, Tokyo Olympics, and then also in the equestrian sport. Yeah. So we just wanted to get to know you a little bit more. So from what I understand, you were born in Sri Lanka, but as a baby you were adopted and brought to Sweden, and you grew up in Sweden, and then you moved to Germany. Yeah. And now you also represent Sri Lanka. So this is a very interesting combination of countries, cultures, and experiences, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about your childhood, and how did you end up getting into this sport as well, and a bit about your family?
Yeah. So I was born in Sri Lanka and was adopted to Sweden when I was just a baby. And growing up in Sweden, I had a lot of opportunities, obviously, to study and to become international show jumper, which is, you know, even for my Swedish parents, is a very crazy idea, you know. And the equestrian sport is very big in Sweden. It's the second biggest sport we have in Sweden. So it gets pushed a lot. A lot of kids goes to riding school, not just for the horses, but for the friends and to enjoy the afternoons. I fell in love with the horses, and you know, I haven't had a day without horses or horse conversation for the rest of my life. So it's very exciting that I had that chance. And my parents is not into horses in Sweden, but they are my biggest fans. They are Mathilda fans, so it doesn't matter, I guess, what I do. They will support me. And yeah, and then my parents, they were driving me from competition to competition in Sweden, and I think they thought one day I would, you know, have it as a hobby and learn something normal, you know, to study and become maybe a teacher or a lawyer or something, you know, a little bit not quite exotic as show jumping. But now I think they're very proud, and they know I'm living my dream life. So, I mean, I think they're very happy for me.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I'm sure they are. Are you an only child?
No, I'm not. I was growing up, I have a sister. She's 14 years older than me. She's adopted from Sweden. So she's, you know, tall, blonde with blue eyes and 14 years older than me. And then I have my brother who is adopted also from Sri Lanka. He's 6 years older, and he have also 2 kids now. So I'm you know, yeah. So it's a big family, and it was amazing growing up together. I think having siblings is just something very, very nice. I couldn't see myself being the only child because I'm the youngest one. So I've always been spoiled from my brothers and sisters and my family. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. That sounds like a lovely life as a kid growing up and with horses.
Yeah.
So was it a natural thing that you got into the competition side of it instead of just, you know, doing it as a hobby? How did you end up getting into the competitions?
I think I never thought that I would be an international show jumper. It just kind of went with it. I think if you all have that kind of personality that you are an ambitious person and you want to push yourself, you want to see how far you're going to go. When you achieve one level, you kind of want to push it to this other level, and that's how it came. I started just riding. I thought I always loved being with the horses, with the animals. So for me, it wasn't much about the sport in the beginning, but I'm a very competitive person, so even playing cards with me is difficult. So for sure, after reaching one level, I decided to go pro, and it was very nice, and I'm very happy that I took that decision, for sure.
Wonderful, yeah. I think it's important for the audience to also understand a little about the sport, equestrian sport. I believe there are different categories within equestrian, like show jumping, there is dressage, there are so many other categories. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about the sport?
I think it's a very unique sport because it's the only Olympic sport where men and women compete together in a team and against each other. Which makes it unique in that way, but I mean also our partners is an animal, you know, it can't speak to you, so you need to spend a lot of time and have this connection with someone you can only connect through, you know, getting to know each other very well and not through words, and it is challenging, but it's also such an amazing experience to have your partner that you travel the world with. You know, my horse Chopin, I mean, I have to thank him for everything. Without him, I would never become as far as I have today, and I probably would not be able to go to the Olympics. He's the sportman in this situation more than me, I guess, because he has so much talent and he have such a good character. He just want to please me, you know. He loves going to the show just as much as I do. He loves travel the world. He's, you know, a lot of horses can get intimidated when it's too much public and too loud and too much music, but he grows from this. He loves when you ride into the arena and they scream his name. He gets this star appeal. Wow. So he only grows from that. So it's great to have a horse that supports you so much as I have. Absolutely,
because the bond between the animal and the rider needs to be absolutely in sync.
Yeah.
To achieve the best and the peak performance. Yeah. And I believe you know him from birth. You gave So can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think that's also something very special, and I'm in a big advance because I know my horse since he was born. He has known me his whole life, and as I said before, you need to know your horse very well to understand when it might not feel as good as it should, and you know, they can't speak to you and tell you if they have stomach pain or, I don't know, neck pain or whatever we can have. They can of course have as well. You know, he's a very athletic horse, but jumping these big fences it's you know, you need to have a lot of muscles and strength. So it's very important that I try to always know how he feels and try to make my best to make him feel as good as possible.
I heard he was not well for some time.
Yeah.
And was that a scare for you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I knew that I could, as soon as we figured out what it was, it took a while because it was a Lyme disease, so it's not so easy to find because it goes a little bit up and down, and you need to test a lot of times to actually get the results right. And of course it was scary, not just because no one want to see your partner and your horse suffer and not feeling well. That was the hardest part. But also, you know, time went past and we have been doing so well in the beginning of the Olympic qualification year, which was 2019. And we were way ahead of basically everyone else trying to qualify for our group. And then he couldn't perform, and he knew he wanted to, but something was not right, and the time was ticking, you know. And I would never put his health first just to achieve my goals. Absolutely not. So then he had to take a little break, and I tried to qualify with my second horse. And I mean, honestly, she was amazing under that time, and I might have also be able to qualify with her, to be honest. But I was very lucky that he did recover as fast as he did, and we managed to get all the points that we needed.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, okay. So coming to the qualification, how do you qualify to get into Olympics? Could you explain the process? I know you are ranked 304 from the FEI rankings, but what is the process to get into the Olympic level qualifications?
As a qualifying for as an individual, the qualification year starts, as for me it was 2019, from the January 1st 2019 to the end of the year, to last day on December 31st. So then you go to as many competitions you can, actually, to achieve as many Olympic points. Not all points are Olympic points, so you need to choose the shows very well. And you also need to get a certificate of capability, which is also not as easy to achieve as what you might think, but of course we got it. And I think going to the Olympics is very important that you do have this certificate, because it kind of proves to everyone, and to also to the organizer of the Olympics, that you have a certain level, that you actually are capable of riding such a big class. And we got that one in Knokke, and so we went from show to show, traveled the world, and had a fantastic, very busy time, but a fantastic time. It was a very exciting time, actually, because me being very competitive, you do have a big eye on who is going where, and how did they perform, and otherwise it's you compete for yourself, but now you really had to watch your exactly
Okay, great. And I heard also that there has been there was some issues in the final stages of your qualifications, and you actually had to really set the record straight by going to courts and winning the case. Yeah. Right? Maybe you can explain a little bit of what happened and how you overcame it.
Well, these Olympic spots are very high valued by all athletes, obviously, and everyone wants to try to achieve them. And I mean, it was stated from the very first beginning that I never did anything wrong, but my qualification shows was cancelled. The last ones that I did, which was the shows that I needed to get enough points to qualify, they were disqualified, and that's why I lost my points and also lost my qualification. But there was an issue, and from the FEI, which is the governing body of the equestrian sport, they had made a mistake in the schedules, which I, as a rider and the organizer, we could not have known that there was an intern fault that was going on, because they stamped these schedules actually 12 times and approved it 12 times. So for me as a rider, it would have been impossible to even know that there was a mistake, and it didn't affect. I mean, I qualified just as everyone else did. My horse performed very well. He jumped these classes. He was clear. He got the placement. He got the ranking. So it was obvious for me that I will win the case if I went to court. So that's what we did. But the time was a little bit against our side, because it took almost a year or more than a year actually, to actually get it through the court. And so the postponement of the Olympics came in my favor. So we now have time to prepare and organize everything, and
wonderful. I'm really happy to hear that that you really established that you were right, and that it was not any fault of yours.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That was very
important.
Yeah, for me as well, to restate that, because even for people knowing the sport, it was very hard to understand what actually happened. Even for me, it was hard because I couldn't see the problem. You know, I couldn't know what was in turn the fault that was made. So I'm very happy to have cleared that out.
Okay, great. So maybe just want to talk a little bit of how you ended up in Germany, right?
Oh yeah.
I know you said you came 18 years ago to Germany, and now you settled down, you're a resident of Germany. So if you can tell a little bit about that.
I came before graduating school. Actually, I had to do a 10-week practicum. And I decided to do that by a Swedish rider, Rolf-Göran Bengtsson, who was just starting up a new stable in Itzehoe, which is other side of Hamburg, in Germany. And I really liked it there. And I asked when I graduated, can I please come back and start working for you? And he said yes. And I went back, and I just finished my studies. I think it was a month or something. And then I went straight back. And that was 2003, so it's 18 years ago, and I'm still here. This is my home now, and I love it. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. So you then went to Sri Lanka for the first time, I think in 2017. Can you tell a little bit about your experience and the emotions you felt seeing the country of your birth for the first time?
Yeah, it was a very excited journey for me to go to see Sri Lanka for the very first time since I was born. I have no memories from my birth and the time that I first spent in Sri Lanka, so it was very surprising for me to see this unbelievable, beautiful country. I've never seen, I travel a lot, and I've never seen such a beautiful country, and I met so many amazing people with such a warm-hearted, pure and just loving people that was very, very helpful when I decided to change my nationality to Sri Lankan.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think Sri Lanka is also fortunate to call you a daughter of her. So that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think at that time you connected with the Equestrian Association in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Can you tell how I think you said you worked with the association and they supported you in the qualification process of the Olympics. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate to meet Mr. Premadasa very early, before actually changing my nationality. I couldn't have done it without him. It's a very good teamwork that he provides. Because it needs to go through the FEI and the federation in Sri Lanka, all the entering for the show and competition that I do. And it worked really, really well. And I couldn't have done the switch without him. He have helped me so much. And I would never qualify for the Olympic if it wasn't for him. So thank you.
That's great. Talking about Sri Lanka and the support, I know you've been obviously very well supported. And today we had a call with the Honorable Minister of Sports, Mr. Honorable Namal Rajapaksa, and he also assured you of all the support that Sri Lanka will give whenever you need it. And we also talked about how you can go back to Sri Lanka maybe later to help develop the equestrian sport in Sri Lanka. I think the Federal Association itself is trying to also, I think, buy some land, and they're looking to really develop this as a sport. And I think you would be a great role model for the young Sri Lankans who would like to take this up as a sport. So if you can tell a little bit about that, whether you have some plans to support Sri Lanka in that way.
Absolutely. I think it would be absolutely my pleasure if I could help in any way possible to make the sport a little bit more known in Sri Lanka. I really hope, I'm the first to qualify as a show jumper for Sri Lanka, but I really hope I will not be the last. That would be a shame. And the support that I have got also to media and social media, and I've noticed there's so many young people reaching out and actually started to get a huge interest in equestrian, not just show jumping, dressage and everything, that they're picking up on this sport. And I know it is, you know, it's an unknown sport in Sri Lanka a little bit, and that would be great if we could push this, especially if we can get this land and make an equestrian competition area. That would really help to push the sport forwards, and that would be amazing if we can one day have a team riding for Sri Lanka.
I think that would be a great plan to have and work towards, and I'm sure we as Sri Lanka would be definitely thankful if you could help guide us, the young talent, to develop that and help to make this a known sport in Sri Lanka.
Absolutely, and it will be my pleasure to also receive students from Sri Lanka to pick up on my way of riding and to push the riders and help them to achieve their goals.
Excellent. Okay. And you mentioned also to the Honorable Minister that you're looking forward to also participating in the Asian Games.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Is that as equally a complex process of getting qualified, or is that sort of not as complex as Olympics?
It's not. It will not be as complex because, I mean, obviously the Olympics is on the highest level you can achieve, and that's why it's so exciting. The Asian Games will be also, that will be my first time, but I mean, if I can manage to do the Olympics well, I think I will have great chances in the Asian Games for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yes, definitely. Yeah, so I think it was really exciting to really hear from you about the your life as well as the process of getting into Olympics. Do you have some final words for Sri Lanka and to especially the young women, young females in Sri Lanka who definitely would can look up to you as a role model and how you compete in the international arena? Do you have some idea, some advice you can give to young women in Sri Lanka?
I think it's just to work really hard, believe in yourself, not be afraid to ask for help when you need it, and there's always a solution for getting where you want to go. And I think it doesn't matter where you come from, it's just a matter of really working hard. People will notice you when they see what you're like trying to achieve, and you will get help along the way. And I mean, it would be great to meet all of you guys that actually supported me very, very much, and I'm so thankful for all the messages that I get. I don't get to answer all of them, but on social media and on Facebook and Instagram, for all the lovely and supporting texts that I have got, that's been amazing.
That's lovely. Okay, so I think I'm really looking forward to seeing you. We'll definitely follow very closely your progress in the Olympics, and I'm really excited for you as well as for the country to be represented, and we hope to see that Sri Lanka flag up on the winners podium in the equestrian category. So
I hope so too.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And every success at the upcoming Olympics and in your life as well. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you.